Right, let's get into some news. California, we're going to start off with first. Parents in one Californian community are fighting for answers after at least 7 children were diagnosed with cancer in the past 4 years. Now, earlier this year, they fought to remove a cell phone tower from a local elementary school campus, and now they're focusing on a chemical in their drinking water supply that's linked to cancer. And Ripon, California is just one of dozens of cities across the country dealing with the possibly harmful chemical. And until we can figure out what is happening in this town, we won't stop, said Kelly Prime, a mother whose son Kyle is one of at least 7 kids in Ripon who have been diagnosed with cancer in recent years. Now, Prime and another mother successfully had the cell phone tower removed and has since shifted focus to the drinking water. And she stated, "My gut tells me that something is here that is causing these issues." Now, Ripon was once home to a Nestle plant, that used trichloroethylene, or TCE, to decaffeinate coffee until the 1970s. Oh my. Decaffeinated. That's like, no, I won't say it. But Nestle discharged the plant's water waste into the city sewers. Go figure. And TCE was recently found in one of the 5 city drinking water wells. Now, the city of Ripon said TCE levels reached 90% of the EPA's maximum allowed drinking water last summer. The well was turned off 4 months later. Now, the city says the water meets all established drinking water standards, and Nestle said that for more than 30 years, the company has implemented clean-up and water protection measures to ensure levels do not exceed California's standards. Yeah, right, and we believe that. But University of California's San Francisco scientist Veena Singla said that when it comes to chemicals like TCE, there are no safe levels of exposure. Drinking water standards and guidelines that we have now are many decades old, and they don't account for the latest science that shows pregnant women and children are more susceptible to TCE. I have a feeling one day soon into the future, people will focus more heavily on what's in the drinking water. As per usual, we look to the skies or project away from us and not what's going in us. It's a big problem. You know, when you consider we're 80% water, 75 to 80% water, and we're adding chemicals to it, that unbalances the whole body. They know it, and they use it. The chief executive of a downstate branch of Goodwill Industries has resigned last week following outrage across Illinois over her recent threat to stop paying many of the non-profit's disabled employees, really, citing expected rising payroll costs due to the pending state minimum wage increase. Funny how they argue from one end to the other. It's the Ouroboros again. Well, you ask for a minimum wage increase, that means we have to sack people. Yeah, we're not falling for that nonsense. Perhaps we need to look at the salaries at the top people as to why people don't have enough at the bottom end. Now, after much backlash on social media, Land of Lincoln Goodwill Industries in Springfield on Wednesday reversed its decision to strip the thrift store workers of their pay, with the president and CEO Sharon Durbin issuing an apology to our constituents, our clients and our faithful donors. our recent decision regarding the vocational rehab program and the resultant harm it may have caused falls short of living up to our mission, and we apologise for this error in judgment. Apologise after the fact. It's not good enough. Now, she was citing an outpouring of comments regarding plans to no longer pay the workers. As a matter of interest, Ms. Durbin, or Mrs. Durbin, drew a salary of nearly $165,000 a year last year. Had served the local Goodwill for 13 years, and her resignation was effective immediately, according to the agency. So you've got these Goodwill charities, I think there's another piece later on about that, with CEOs earning $165,000. That's not charity work. That's vampirism in anyone's book. Now, a day after he sought to distance himself from a chant of "send her back" by his supporters, President Trump lashed out at the media for its coverage of the episode at his rally that followed his repeated attacks aimed at the four minority congressmen, really. In morning tweets on Friday, Trump characterised the coverage of his rally this week in Greenville, North Carolina, as crazed, and complained that the media was totally calm and accepting of what he said were vile and disgusting statements made by the freshman lawmakers. Mainstream media, which has lost all credibility, has either officially or unofficially become part of the radical left Democratic Party, Trump wrote. It is a sick partnership and so pathetic to watch. I'll have more comment on that later. More trouble in the Gulf. Iran's Revolutionary Guards on Friday said they had captured a British-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf after Britain seized an Iranian vessel previous this month, which raises further tensions along a vital international oil, being the operative word, shipping route. And Britain said it was urgently seeking information about the Stena Impero after the tanker, which had been heading to a port in Saudi Arabia, suddenly changed course after passing through the Strait of Hormuz at the mouth of the Gulf. Now, the Revolutionary Guard said they seized the tanker at the request of Iranian maritime authorities for not following international maritime regulations. More on that later also. Where are we next? Mueller. And some background news as well. A businessman who served as a key witness in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation now faces a charge of child sex trafficking in addition to transporting child pornography. An indictment made public Friday in federal court in Alexandria charges Lebanese-American businessman George Nader, who is 60, with transporting a 14-year-old boy from Europe to Washington, D.C. in February 2000 and engaging in sex acts with him. That was a common theme around that time. There was a lot of backdoors into the White House at the time. That's yet to fully come out also, of the Boys Ring Club inside the White House around 2000. Now, that charge comes on top of child pornography charges that had been levelled against him when he was arrested last month. Now, Nader is an advisor, connect the dots, to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates, and also a consultant, oh my, to Blackwater founder Eric Prince. Hi, Bubba. Oh my. In January 2018, Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigators questioned Nader in connection to suspicions that the United Arab Emirates had been involved with President Trump's 2016 campaign. Now, Nader was sentenced in the 1990s for transporting child pornography publications in Virginia. Oh my. And was imprisoned in 2003 for sexually abusing 10 boys in the Czech Republic, and yet goes on to work in Washington. Now, last month, he was arrested and charged with transporting pornography depicting child sexual abuse and also bestiality. But also further back, he was charged in 1985 of receiving from Netherlands films and magazines depicting pre- and post-pubescent boys engaged in sexual acts, and was dismissed due to an invalid search warrant. That's how these people get off. Now, a federal court in Virginia, again, in 1991, gave him a 6-month sentence on a felony charge of transporting from Germany pornographic videotapes of boys about 13 or 14 years old. But prosecutors agreed to put the case under seal, quote, due to the extremely sensitive nature of Mr. Nader's work in the Middle East, unquote. Make of that what you will. In 2003, he was convicted in Prague, Czechoslovakia, for sexually abusing 10 boys, for which he served just 1 year in prison. Now, serious questions remain from this is how and why was a twice, in fact 3 times convicted sex offender not only allowed to be free, but obtain security clearances high enough to be involved in high-level government. So not only must Nader face jail, but also who gave him the security clearance? What Americans won't understand, I know when I came to America, there is very strict policy on convictions. That should you have in any certain categories, you are barred from even going on vacation to America, never mind living or working there. And sexual crimes is one of them. Heads must roll at the top for this deliberate oversight. Yes, it's fine charging Nader, but who gave him the security clearances is of a greater concern and national security to this country. Wyoming next. We don't cover that much. Oh no, Wyoming, Pennsylvania. Sorry, not Wyoming. This defies belief. It literally defies belief. The Wyoming Valley West School District in Pennsylvania this week warned parents that their children could be taken from them and placed into foster care if they failed to pay their outstanding lunch debt. Yes, you heard that right. The letter was sent to about 1,000 parents with unpaid lunch bills and warned that failure to pay for their children's food could lead to dependency hearings and removal of their children from the home. Now, the bills reportedly range from $75 to $450 and total over $20,000. I'm going to repeat that line again. You can be sent to dependency court for neglecting your child's right to food. The result may be your child being taken from your home and placed in foster care, the letter said. Welcome to America. where people struggling to pay for basic items are now threatened with losing their kids. No doubt it's all part of a larger strategy to use the kids for their sick-minded operations of adrenochrome and ritual and sexual abuse. Now, apparently the county rescinded the statement and then said they will take parents to court. And what happens when they go to court? Well, the parents will get fined and subsequently have even less money to pay for the school dinners. The insane logic of their world defies belief. Parents who can't pay for the school dinners, they need help. We're being harvested left, right and centre. They don't need to throw kids in foster homes. It defies belief. Kosovo's Prime Minister Ramush Haradinaj said on Friday he was resigning after being called to the Hague War Crimes Court linked to the Serbian breakaway province's violent independence struggle. Now, according to Langley, writers, the reason for this decision is because of a call I have received from a specialist chamber as a suspect, according to the Kosovo Prime Minister. Now, the specialist chamber was set up in 2015 to try ex-Kosovo Liberation Army guerrillas for alleged atrocities in a war against Serbian forces. Now, Serbia, Russia, and a number of other countries have not recognised Kosovo's independence. You're probably going to hear more about that. Iran Revolutionary Guards released footage this week that says it disproves the US claim of shooting down an Iranian drone over the Straits of Hormuz, showing the video was transmitted after the alleged time it was destroyed. Now, the elite military unit published the footage on Friday, and it was aired and commented on live on the state TV channel Press TV. Now, the video appears to depict American warship USS Boxer sailing through the strait in the early hours of July the 19th, according to the timestamp shown. More fun and games. Like I said, we'll have more on Iran later. A little bit of honesty, albeit harsh and sinister. But an Israeli minister this week boasted that his country was the only one that, quote, has been killing Iranians, unquote, after tensions between Britain and Iran rose in the Gulf. Regional Cooperation Minister Tzaki Henegbi comments to public radio with a reference to Israeli strikes in neighbouring Syria against Iranian and Hezbollah military targets. But they came after Iran seized a British-flagged tanker on last Friday, which added tensions between Washington and Tehran linked to a 2015 nuclear deal. Regular listeners to THI will know it's got nothing to do with nuclear at all. Again, we'll have more on that. For those of you who are new, Israel sold Iran nuclear weapons back in the 1990s, bundles of them. So the idea that Iran is getting nuclear weapons via their nuclear facilities is utter rubbish. They already have them. Now, Hanejbi accused Iran, Israel's enemy, of seeking to create chaos and harm freedom of navigation. Asked if he feared that Israel would not receive the backing of the United States in the case of a conflict with Iran, Hanejbi suggested that Tehran would avoid such a scenario. Israel is the only country in the world that has been killing Iranians for 2 years, he said. We strike the Iranians hundreds of times in Syria. Sometimes we acknowledge it, and sometimes foreign reports reveal it. And he added that the Iranians understand that Israel means business. A lot about it. Iran tonight. Wonder why. I may have more. Ukrainian president. Country taken hostage by NATO goons, Mossad and others. The new president, Volodymyr Zelensky party, is projected to win a snap parliamentary election, consolidating his political power. Now, partial exit polls suggest that the Servant of the People party, named after the TV show Mr. Zelensky starred in, will have a majority in parliament in the Ukraine. Now, he did win a landslide victory back in April, but has so far been unable to appoint the ministers he wants. I wonder if it's really his decision. Now, he has pledged to implement radical reforms and tackle rampant corruption. And speaking outside of a polling station in Kiev earlier on Sunday, Mr. Zelensky told the BBC Steve Rosenberg that the snap election was maybe more important than the presidential election. Now, the exit polls suggest the second most popular party is the pro-Russian opposition in Platform for Life. However, Mr. Zelensky has ruled out working with it, should he need to form a coalition. We'll have more on that later also. Iranian secret services uncovered a 17-member spy ring working against the country, according to state-affiliated media, and some of the agents have been given capital punishment. All the suspects in question were arrested by Iran's Ministry of Intelligence, and they were working as private contractors. THI members will be familiar with that. In the economic, nuclear, infrastructure, military and cyber areas, where they were collecting classified information, the report said. Now, some of the suspected agents were allegedly recruited by CIA officers while applying for US visas. Now, typically this week, CIA agent Mike Pompeo denied it took place and accused Iran of repeatedly lying. A CIA spokesman accusing others of lying. Too funny. We'll be back shortly.